Ram Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All Gurus, Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Hey Mangimati, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mati.
Shri Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Canto 4, Chapter 4, Text 12 to 22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashtaprayesu Avatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Text 12. Twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only might find no faults with other qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault in such a great soul. It is not wonderful for a person who have accepted the transient material body as the self to engage always in deriding great soul. Such envy on the part of the materialistic person is very good because that is the way they fall down. Excuse me. They are diminished by the dust of the feet of the great personality. Of great personalities. Sati continued, my dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name consisting of two syllables, Si and Va, purifies one of the all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure, and no one but you envies him. Text 15. You are envious of Lord Shiva, who is the friend of all living entities within the three worlds. For the common man, he fulfills all desire, and because of their engagement in thinking of his lotus feet, he also blesses higher personalities who are seeking after Brahmananda, transcendental bliss. Excuse me. Text 16. Do you think that greater, more expectable personalities than you, such a Lord Brahma, do not know this unauspicious person who great under the name Lord Shiva? He associated with the demons in the crematorium. His locks of hair are scattered all over his body, and he is garlanded with human-like skull and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with a great respect on their heads. Text 17. Sati continued, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender. And after that, one should give up his own life. Therefore, I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food with his poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. Text 90. It is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forget the rules and regulation of the Vedas since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Text 20. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendentally situated. My dear father, the opulence who possesses is impossible for either you or your flatterer to imagine. For a person who engages in productive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulence simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self-realized souls. Text 22. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately, I have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship, and I concern myself because my body is contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the great personality. Thank you, Haribo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hemangi Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, when are you ready, Krishna and Prabhu, you can go ahead.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving this opportunity. Thank you all for joining for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, from Slokas 12 to 22. Start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-Salakaya Chakshuruन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you, Hemangi Mataji, for reading today's verses translations. So the title of the chapter today, it's chapter 4, Sati quits her body. And just to give a background, so Maitreya Muni narrated in the last chapter where once upon a time when Daksha is conducting a great yajna, so he invited many of the great personalities from all over the universe, but not Lord Shiva, because of his envious towards Lord Shiva. So, and then we see that seeing many demigods' wives, they are going to attend the yajna. Mother Sati, who is the daughter of Daksha and wife of Lord Shiva, she also showed interest in attending that program so that she can able to see her parents and relatives. But Lord Shiva advised not to go because Daksha is envious. He may not treat Mother Sati very well because she is the wife of Lord Shiva. And also there is no invitation for them to attend the program. So in this chapter, Maitreya Muni continued his narration to Vidura that Mother Sati is anxious to see her relatives at her father's house, and at the same time, she is also afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. So, but after so much deliberation, she chose to go her father's house. Though Lord Shiva warned her not to go, and even though there is no invitation. And when she decided to go to her father's house to attend the yajna, along Mother Sati, many Lord Shiva's followers also accompanied. And after she reached the sacrifice arena, and many of them, they did not receive her well because of the fear of Daksha. Of course, her sisters and mother did welcomed very nicely with a lot of love and affection. But even her father Daksha also did not welcome her appropriately. So then later Mother Sati saw that there is no oblations offered to Lord Shiva as part of the fire sacrifice. Then she became very angry. And then Lord Shiva's followers, they wanted to attack Daksha, but Mother Sati stopped. And then she started speaking to her father, Daksha. So that was the background. And in the last sloka, we see that Mother Sati started speaking to her father, Daksha, saying that, Lord Shiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival, and no one is very dear to him, and no one is envy. No one is his enemy. So no one but you should be you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. So and today we will start from slokas 12 to 22. And in this sloka 12, so Mother Shati is mentioning that twice born Daksha. So a man like you can simply find faults in the qualities of others. But Lord Shiva, he doesn't find faults in others. Not only that, even if somebody has a little good quality, he magnifies it. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport, so the meaning of twice born. So Dvija. So Dvija means taking birth 2 times in the same life. Like one is from the physical birth, like biological, like where one is born from the womb of mother. And second birth is when they accept a spiritual master. In the Vedic systems, it is the higher class people like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. They go to Vedic schools and they accept a spiritual master. So that's why they are referred as a Dvijas, twice born. And with that education, they get the ability to discriminate between good and bad. So that's why here Mother Sati is addressing as a twice born, because he has to know which is good and which is bad. And another point Prabhupada mentions in this sloka, which is mentioned in this sloka, and Prabhupada also points in the purport that generally a common man, so they will find good qualities and bad qualities of others. But the exalted personalities, they only look good qualities and they discard bad qualities. They don't look at their bad qualities. And Prabhupada gives an example of honeybee. So honeybee is only interested in honey, in the flower. So it doesn't consider thorns and colors of the bush. And little higher level is on top of that is so these great saintly people, they not only discard the bad qualities of other person, but even if they have a little good quality, they will magnify it. And Lord Shiva is such a kind of personality, because he's a great Vaishnava. He's mentioned as a topmost Vaishnava, Vaishnavana Medhasembhu. So this is one of the quality that a Vaishnava has. They see only good qualities in others and reject any bad qualities. So this is one thing that as a sadhaka, talking to myself, should try to develop this quality, to see the good qualities in others and magnify it and glorify them, so that we can overcome the envious tendency towards anyone. But in general, people who are not into the process of spirituality, so they only magnify the bad qualities. So we see in the Kali Yuga, so people only look at the bad qualities. They don't look at the good qualities. Not only seeing the bad qualities, they magnify it, even if they have a little bad quality. And it's mentioned like Taksha is like that. So even in the Mahabharata also we see from the pastime of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Duryodhana. So one time they both were asked to travel throughout the kingdom and find out if they see anyone better than them. And Yudhishthira Maharaj comes back and sees that he sees that everyone is better than him, because he sees good qualities in them. And Duryodhana comes back and says that he doesn't see anyone better than him, because he's looking at bad qualities. So that's the nature of a great devotee and a person who is not in spiritual process or Krishna consciousness. So in the text 13, we see that a person who is in the materialistic activities, engaged in the materialistic activities, so they envy, they have this tendency of envy. And because of that, they will fall down. And not only that, when they offend a great devotee, by that offense, they will be diminished, because they have offended at the dust of the great personalities. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that when someone offends at the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee, then they will suffer. And we hear from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, like, this person, Gopal Chapal, so he is envious towards Srivas Thakur and he offends him. Like, you want to because of a great devotion of Srivas Thakur, his name and fame was spreading up. And Gopal Chapal, he was envious towards this Srivas Thakur, and he wanted to offend. I mean, he offended him, saying that this person is not a Vaishnava. So he's instead he's a tantric, like he's worshipping goddess Durga. In fact, to show that thing to others, so he himself goes in the middle of the night and arranges the paraphernalia of Durga Puja in front of the Srivas Thakur. And then he calls all the people of the town and he explains that, no, the Srivas Thakur externally is showing as a Vaishnava, but actually is doing a Durga Puja or Tantric, like that. Of course, Srivas Thakur did not took it as an offense, but Krishna, when somebody offends his devotees, he takes it very seriously. So, and because of this offense, Gopal Chapala got leprosy and he was banned from his living in the community. Though he is a very wealthy person, he had to stay outside of the village and live as a beggar. And of course, one day when Lord Chaitanya was passing by at that side, Gopal Chapala fell at his lotus feet and asked for forgiveness. But Mahaprabhu said that, you have offended my devotee. So there is no remedy for that. You have to suffer, not just one life. You will be suffering millions of lives like that. So we can see the seriousness of the offense towards a Vaishnava. Of course, later again, when Gopal Chapla, with a genuinely repenting, requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show his mercy, then Mahaprabhu directs him to go to Srivas Thakur and beg his forgiveness. With that, he will be relieved from the this suffering. So then, of course, he goes to Srivas Thakur and then he begs forgiveness. Of course, Srivas Thakur, is being a great devotee, he did not took it as an offense. But since he has surrendered to the and begged forgiveness from Srivas Thakur, Mahaprabhu showed his mercy and then his leprosy goes away. And from that day onwards, he started serving the Vaishnavas. So this is the remedy. So the remedy for not to envious in the first place is to see the good qualities of others and glorify them. If we are not at that level, then we should continue our bhajana kriya, chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, to get rid of our anarthas, this lust, greed, anger, envious, all those things. Listen Krishna Katha and be in the association of the devotees. So especially when you hear the pastimes of the great acharyas, devotees, then we will be inspired to look good qualities in others and get rid of this envious. Because today being His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appearance day, if we can hear the activities that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur performed, that would give inspiration for us to look good qualities in others and get rid of envious from our life. And in the text 14, Mother Sati is continuing that committing a great offense by envying Lord Shiva. And the two syllables, Si and Va, actually purifies one of all sinful activities. So because Lord Shiva is very pure, and no one but you envies him. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so Siva means very auspicious. And in this material world, material body, the auspicious thing is the soul, Atma. So a materialistic person, when he takes shelter of Lord Shiva, then they would slowly understand that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And Lord Shiva is very eager to give this Krishna consciousness to the people who are approaching him genuinely. So we see in Srimad Bhagavatam also, he preaches prachetas like that. In the text 15, we see that Mother Sati is mentioning that you are envious of Lord Shiva, who is the friend of all living entities. And you see, the common man's, he fulfills all desires. And then he also blesses higher personalities who are seeking after Brahmananda. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that there are two types of people. approaching Lord Shiva. So one is who is looking for some material benefits. Like we hear one Brahmana who approached Lord Shiva for material benefits. Of course, Lord Shiva, being a compassionate Vaishnava, he directs him to the Sanatana Goswami. And with the association of Sanatana Goswami, he becomes a Vaishnava. But there are people who approaches Lord Shiva for material benefits. And there are other people who are looking for salvation because they are frustrated this material world and they want to be relieved from this material world. And for both of the people, Lord Shiva is friend of all living entities. So that's why Vaishnavas are called well-wishers of everyone, like Dhira, Dhira, Janapriya. So people who are looking for material benefits or who are looking for spiritual elevation. For both of them, the Vaishnava is a well-wisher. So that's why it is very helpful to be in the association of the devotees. And then the text 16, so Mother Sati saying that, so you may say that the Lord Shiva is inauspicious because he is associating with the demons in the crematorium, and his hair are scattered all over his body, and he is garlanded with human skulls and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, she's just pointing it here that great personalities like Brahma, so they honor him by accepting flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. So she's stressing that, Daksha, what he is thinking about Lord Shiva is incorrect. So Lord Shiva is a great personality. Prabhupada quotes from Brahma Samhita also the position of Lord Shiva. Kshiram yadha dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nai tata pratak asti heto yashambhutam api tata samupaiti karyat govindam adi purusham tamaham bhaja. Lord Brahma mentions that, Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the transformation of Lord Krishna, Govinda, for the performance of the work of destruction. So it's not an ordinary condition living entity. It's very exalted and topmost Vaishnava. So that's why we see here that great personalities like Lord Brahma, they honor him. And Prabhupada mentions that actually the purpose of Mother Sati coming to this yajna is to convince her father Daksha that you envying towards Lord Shiva is actually not appropriate. She want to convince that and make him understand the position of the Lord Shiva. So that was the purpose of Lord Mother Sati coming to this yajna. So though she pleaded Lord Shiva that she wanted to see her sisters and mother, relatives like that, but that's only the external. But internally she has this machine that she wanted to convince her father that the Lord Shiva's position and his exaltedness. Of course, we see here that when she was not able to convince, then how she gave up the body, that we will see in the upcoming slokas. And then the text 17, Mother Sati is continuing that if one hears irresponsible person blaspheme the master and control of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if they can able to kill, then kill them. Or cut out the blasphemous tongue and then kill. And after that, one should give up his own life. Of course, seems to be this is the process. But of course, as a trying to be a devotee, I'm talking to myself. I don't think I can imitate. But we learn from this that we should not blaspheme the devotees. Even if somebody is blaspheming, then we have to be away from those instances where that blaspheming is going on. If we can inspire the person who is blaspheming to understand the Krishna consciousness process, then that's perfect. But if not, then we see that we have to leave that place and maintain distance from that person. Of course, we respect him, and also pray for that person so that Krishna can shower his mercy, and in the future he can understand the position of the devotees and the Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada mentions in the purport that even yesterday also Manch Prabhuji mentioned that if he is a Brahmana, so who is listening the blasphemy, then he should not give up the body. He should just leave the place, because if he kills himself, then it is called it's responsible of killing a Brahmana. So either he leave the place or block his ears. So if he is a Kshatriya, then he has the power to punish. Then he can cut the tongue of that blasphemer and kill him. But as far as the Vaishyas and Sudras, they should immediately give up their body. So here, Prabhupada mentions that because Mother Sachi, she cannot kill Daksha, even though she has that power, because Daksha is her father, and neither she cannot cut the tongue. Instead, she chooses to leave the body. So she decided to give up her body because she considered herself in the category of Sudras and Vaishyas. Because in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that Striyo Vaishya Tata Sudra, like the woman and then mercantile class and the laborer, they are on the same level. So she considers in that way. Of course, Mother Sati is a great Vaishnavi, very exalted. She is not on the platform of the material body level. But being humble, she consider like that. But we see in the next sloka purport also, Prabhupada mentions that the reasons, another reason that she gave up her body instead of killing Daksha is not to defame Lord Shiva. So people may think that, Lord Shiva employed Mother Sati to kill Daksha because he is not able to do that. He is inferior to Daksha, like that. To avoid that defaming of Lord Shiva, she chose to leave the body. So here in the text 18, Mother Sati is mentioning that therefore I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you, because he has blasphemed Lord Shiva. She has given analogy that a food which is poisonous, if somebody takes that, the best treatment is to vomit. So it's a nice analogy, and somebody takes a poisonous food, the best treatment is vomit. So similarly, Mother Sati she got the body from Daksha, who is her father. So she wanted to vomit it or leave the body. So, and Prabhupada mentioned that she can easily kill Daksha, but she did not do because one is Daksha is her father, and another is to save Lord Shiva from the defame. So that's why she decided to give up her body. And in the text 19, Mother Sati is mentioning that better to execute one's own occupational duty than criticize others. And here Mother Sati is mentioning that sometimes these great saintly people, they forego the rules and regulations. And she gave an example how the demigods can travel in space, but the ordinary man cannot do that. So this is analogy, we see sometimes we see the demigods, because they are more powerful, they can travel in the space, but we human being living on this earth, we cannot travel. So similarly, pure devotee, they are not necessarily follow the rules and regulations which are mentioned in the Vedas. And Lord Shiva is a pure devotee. So sometimes he may not follow the rules and regulations that are mentioned in Vedas, but one should not see that as a fault. Because Lord Shiva, being a pure devotee, is above the rules and regulations. Of course, being a sadhaka, one should not imitate these great devotees, but we follow the instruction that has given by them. So even in Chaitanya Charitamrita also there is one pastime where King Prataparudra, he asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So when all the devotees from Navadvip, when they came to Puri, so they first go to Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to see him. And King Prataparudra asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because that is not the etiquette. So when one goes to Puri, first they take darshan of Lord Jagannath and then go to others. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya responds that all these devotees who came from Navadvip to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are not in the ordinary level. They are in the spontaneous love, Raghana Bhakti. So that's why they don't need to follow the rules and regulations. So, but of course, as a sadhaka, we try to follow the rules and regulations as best as we can, so that we can be purified and be elevated in the level of spontaneous love. So in the text 20, Mother Sati is mentioning that there are two kinds of activities in the Vedas. So one for the persons who are attached to the material enjoyment, and another is who are looking for renunciation. But these both kind of activities can be neglected by a person who is transcendently situated. So for a person who is attained to the transcendental stages, for them, either these Vedic activities that are recommended for material enjoyment or for renunciation, they don't need to follow. It's not applicable because they are above the rules and regulations mentioned in the Vedas. So in the text 21, and Mother Sati is mentioning here that the opulence that Lord Shiva possesses cannot be imagined by her father, Daksha, because he is attached to the fruitive activities. So, and she's mentioning here that Lord Shiva can exhibit these opulence simply by desiring, because Lord Shiva is a self-realized soul, or great, is renounced. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so Mother Sati here is clarifying to her father that the opulence that Lord Shiva possesses cannot be understood by Daksha because he is engaged in the bodily related activities. So we understand from this that the great devotees, so they have this mystic powers because of their deep devotion to Krishna. They possess that, but they don't exhibit it. So, so we see even from the past times of the many saintly people in our parampara, like I heard this in one lecture, like Srila Prabhupada, along with his many disciples, when they're walking in the beach of Vizag, so that the disciples, they could see their footsteps on the sand, the beach sand, but they don't see the steps of Srila Prabhupada, because he's walking above the earth. So they have these great powers, but generally they don't exhibit them. And in the text 22, the last sloka for today, she's saying that you are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and unfortunately I have a body produced from yours. So I'm ashamed for that body relationship. And she's condemning herself due to the contaminated by a relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the great personality. So Mother Sati is feeling very sad or bad for getting body from the Daksha, because who is offender of Lord Shiva, the great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So from this section, so something that at least for myself to take away is not to offend a Vaishnava, because that would bring misfortune, either from the spiritual perspective or the material perspective. And if knowingly or unknowingly we have offended a Vaishnava, we have to go to that devotee and beg forgiveness. And another thing we can understand is the offensive nature comes when we are envious of another person. So to come out from that, so we should try to develop this quality of looking good qualities in others, and also whenever there is an opportunity to glorify them, so for their good qualities. Another thing is if someone is offending and we are at that place, and if we can correct that person with the Shastric evidence, then that's perfect. But if not, it's better to leave that place. And if we see that, that person is having this tendency of offensive nature, then we keep distance and respect him and pray to the Supreme Lord to shower his mercy so that soon he will realize and he will take up the process of bhakti or understand the position of the Vaishnavas. So, and in the next session, we see how Mother Sachi gave up her body and how the followers of Lord Shiva reacted in that situation. Those things we will see in the next session. So, I'll pause it here. Thank you all for giving the opportunity. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It looks like Chitra Mataji had a question in the chat, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Would you like to read or shall I read for you?
Yeah, let me see, Prabhu. It's a very intense discussion between Mother Satya and father, where she tries to uplift him as a guru, not as a daughter female. Wouldn't be offense to compare her to a lowest category of birth. Very nice question, Chitra Mataji. I'll try to share my thoughts. Prabhupada mentions that it's a devotee is very humble, so they themselves think that very lower. So in that way, Mother Parvati or Mother Sati is feeling that she is in the lower category. But Prabhupada clarifies in the purport, the next sloka of the purport, that she is very powerful. She can kill Daksha, but to defame, to avoid the defame of Lord Shiva. So because one may think that Lord Shiva employed or engaged Mother Sati to kill Daksha, because he considers himself is a lower than the Daksha, like that. So to avoid the defame, Mother Sati chose to leave the to quit the body. But that's a reason. But devotees are very humble; they feel themselves very lower. So that is my understanding and thought process, Mataji. Please feel free if anyone has any other comments to share.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hopefully that helped you, Chitra Mataji. Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Especially I like that you summarized the takeaways for the class also today. Very nice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Very much, Prabhuji.